Hello and welcome. I'm Ruth Cabal. Thanks for joining us. His allies have denied it over and over that President Duterte is suffering from a very serious disease and that he is fine. But in a speech last night, the president himself admitted he's not sure where he is physically. Our senior correspondent Ina Andolong tells us Mr. Duterte also mentioned the word cancer for the first time.
The president is fit and healthy. That's Malacanang's usual line when asked how Mr. Duterte is doing. His spokesman would often add, there's nothing serious to worry about. But now, a change of tune. There's a sense of uncertainty.
So right now, sir, it's not considered a serious illness?
Right now, we don't know because he went for a diagnostic exam.
That's after the president himself confirmed he underwent a new set of tests on Wednesday.
I don't know where I'm now physically, but I have to wait for that. But I would tell you that if it's cancer, it's cancer. And if it's third stage, no more treatment. I will not prolong my agony in this office or anywhere.
Presidential spokesman Harry Roque says doctors are monitoring a growth, apparently discovered after an initial endoscopy weeks ago. Endoscopy is a procedure to examine the upper digestive system. How serious this growth is remains unanswered.
Endoscopy was recommended from his own words in the general command conference because they wanted just to be sure that there was a growth and that they wanted to know more about the growth.
Previously, Roque thumbed down the idea of issuing a medical bulletin on the president's health. But this latest development seems to have changed his mind.
If I'm still here next week, then I will tell him perhaps we need to issue a medical bulletin, whether or not it's serious. Perhaps we would need to bring in your physician because it's the only way to stop all talk about your health.
But Roque is unsure if he'll still be around to answer questions next week. The spokesman is thinking about resigning. At the palace briefing, Roque reveals he wants to think about his next career move over the weekend. His options: stay on as presidential spokesman, run for the Senate, or take another job offered to him. Even if he chooses to leave Malacanang, Roque stresses the president wouldn't hide anything from the public. While President Duterte awaits his test results, the palace insists he remains strong.
Is the president dying?
Hindi naman po siguro, no?
Ina Andolong, CNN Philippines.
Aside from his health, the president also talked about Vice President Leni Robredo in his speech yesterday, and he took another swipe at her. Take a listen.
I will not resign to give ito. Sa totoo lang, sir, even her in public statements, I do not mean to offend the lady. She's very good. She's gentle. Pero mahina talaga si walang may sitwasyon ko na decide wala mali ang medyo mahina ang hindi mahina yung utak ko sa number mahina sa diskarte.
Vice President Robredo is hitting back. In a statement, she says no one wants the president to get sick, but she asserts illness should not be a reason for him to belittle her capabilities. Robredo adds, quote, umaksyon tayo sa problema ng bayan kaysa puro sisi ang binabato sa dating administrasyon sa kanyang mga kritiko sa akin, unquote. What do you think about our top story tonight? You can send us a message at CNN Philippines. We're also live on Facebook. We'll read your comments at the end of the show. And it's a special day for educators worldwide, and Filipino teachers are using the occasion to take a stand against what they see as oppression. Paulo Barcelon tells us what happened this World Teachers Day.
Students and teachers have gathered in Manila on World Teachers Day to protest against what they call anti-education policies by the Duterte administration. ACT Party List Representative Antonio Tilno told members of the media that at least 2,000 teachers and professors from various schools, colleges, and universities in Metro Manila and Region 4A attended a rally earlier this afternoon. These educators are up in arms about recent allegations from the military about recruitment drives by the Communist Party of the Philippines. The AFP has said 18 colleges and universities are recruitment hubs of the CPP for an oust Duterte plot. The AFP cited film showings on martial law and other activities that entice students to rise up against the government. But Tino says part of their job is to teach students about the various lessons in history. Also, part of their demands are to stop budget cuts in the education sector, salary hikes for all employees in the education sector, better working conditions, and to make teacher participation in the upcoming 2019 midterm elections a voluntary duty.
Minsan kami pa rin yung sa kantin, kami yung DSWD, kami yung sa disaster. Lahat ito ay ginagampanan ng mga teachers dahil walang mga personnel.
Si Copernico sinailes na simbahan. Si Galileo was put under house arrest. Kami pa matatakot na magturo ng subversibo? Kung subversibo ang magturo na ang inflation ay hindi maganda sa ekonomiya, subversibo kami.
Meanwhile, students from the University Belt took part in what they called a Black Friday protest against supposed red tagging by the Armed Forces of the Philippines on schools, colleges, and universities in Metro Manila. Senior high and college students lit up candles in front of the Far Eastern University to symbolize their protest. FEU is among those 18 schools that were tagged as recruitment hubs by the AFP. Paulo Barcelon, CNN Philippines.
The armed forces are receiving growing backlash over their recent claims linking schools to insurgency. This time, artists and filmmakers are demanding that the military take back its allegations and issue an apology. The AFP earlier said that movies about martial law are being screened in schools with the aim to incite opposition to the Duterte administration. A subsequent AFP statement claimed some parents have raised concerns that films and even school performances about martial law are a way to, quote, brainwash kids. A number of the artists behind these movies gathered at the UP Film Institute today to condemn the AFP's pronouncements.
They are currently at war with the New People's Army, and this linkage puts all of us in danger. And we want the AFP to retract these statements and apologize to us, to the filmmakers, to the entire film community, to the students of these universities that they have accused of being havens or sanctuaries for rebellious movements.
Dapat every time manonood sila ng horror film, nagiging serial killer na rin sila. O every time manonood ka ng pornographic film, nagiging sex mania ka na rin. Parang hindi naman siya nangyayari. Number two, it's your job as a parent primarily to teach your kids these values.
An alliance of more than 300 film industry workers issued a statement against what it describes as disparaging red tagging comments of the AFP. Here are today's global headlines. Judgment Day for the Supreme Court nominee of United States President Donald Trump. Senators may vote as early as today on the confirmation of Brett Kavanaugh. It's been a fierce battle for the Republican judge who is accused of sexual assault. The U.S. Senate has read the results of a narrow background check on Kavanaugh carried out by the Federal Bureau of Investigation. 3 Republican senators seen as swing votes have yet to reveal how they would vote. Arizona Senator Jeff Flake says they have not seen additional corroborating information to support the allegation against the judge. Another crucial Republican, Senator Susan Collins of Maine, said the report appeared to be a very thorough investigation. And the third key Republican vote, Senator Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, made clear she wouldn't decide until she had studied all the evidence. New Zealand can now fine travelers who refuse to give border officials the password to their phones. Under a new law that came into force this week, officials will be able to demand that travelers unlock any electronic device so it can be searched. Anyone who refuses can face prosecution and a fine of up to $3,200 or over 170,000 pesos. While customs officials in multiple countries are permitted by law to search travelers' devices, New Zealand is the first country to introduce a fine for those who refuse. And having a rough day? Ask a friend for a hug. According to a study from a U.S. university, being hugged can help someone in a bad mood. Researchers say the mood boost was seen regardless of gender or age. And according to the study, hugs from platonic friends are just as good as those between people in a relationship. The findings are based on more than 400 people during a 2-week period.